today to talk about dragons again. Today, well, not today, but like a couple of days ago, from the last lives we did with the dragons, we realized that you guys had a little bit of a hesitancy to like start working with dragons, so that's why we're here today to help you guys start working with dragons. So POV started working with dragons today. Welcome to your daily dose of dragon feather. My name is Azura. If you've never seen me before, hey, hi, hello. I make new live streams every day, so you can connect with dragon wisdom and other shenanigans. So yeah, welcome to the live. Before we get started, we'll just wait for everybody to kind of join. We are here with this little wyvern dragon. It's like periwinkle in color. Really, really pretty. It's from Belzy, I think. I got it from Paper Source? I don't know. Maybe I got it from Barnes & Noble. But it's our little dragon homie for today. He's super cute. He's actually kind of big though. But this, actually one of my favorite colors. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. And today, the beverage of choice is Alive by, well, it's GT's Alive, Ancient Mushroom Elixir. It's basically like a healthy version of Coca-Cola. This is my Coca-Cola alternative right now. I do not drink Coca-Cola anymore. So it basically has, this is non-psychoactive. So this is 100% legal. It's all regular mushrooms like reishi, chaga, and turkey tail, and basically helps you have clarity, and it has some caffeine in it too, but it's naturally occurring. So I love this stuff because it's organic. So I'm gonna read you guys the ingredients because I think they're flipped. This is not sponsored, by the way. I just literally love these. They make my tummy feel so much better when I have like an upset stomach. And this is why, because listen to these ingredients. So it has reishi, chaga, and turkey tail mushrooms. It has black tea, raw apple cider vinegar, cold-pressed apple juice, cold-pressed lime juice, cinnamon, erythritol, cane sugar, vanilla extract, cola nut, sea salt, black pepper, and stevia. And it's all organically produced. But I have it from time to time. It's pretty good. So let's have a sip of this, and then let's start working with some dragons. So cheers. Grab a beverage, grab a snack, and let's have a chill hangout party time. Cheers. Hey Lexi Camacho, I hope I said your name right. Welcome to the live. It says, thank you for putting me on to tea Java. I saw it at the market after you talked about it in your last live. Oh my god, that's so funny. It's so good. I'm obsessed with it. So it's definitely one of the best ones that you can have, that's for sure. Like if I'm gonna have black tea, like I just can't really do like the plastic tea bags anymore. It's just kind of gross. Sometimes I'll have loose leaf tea, but like if I just want a quick and easy tea, I'll just get tea Java, because even the small ones come in glass, and I'm always trying to do glass, which is another why these Alive drinks, absolutely glass, okay? Glass drinks, okay? Absolutely incredible. We love it. So please, it's incredible. Hey Laura Perry, thank you so much for joining the live. Hey Prey, thanks for joining the live. Oh, you know Alive. Hell yeah. It's such a good drink. You can get them at Sprouts, and I think you can only get the root beer ones at Trader Joe's, but I like the Coca-Cola ones. And then we also have a lime one that's like a Sprite. The Sprite one's pretty good. So yeah, glad you're feeling much better. Yes, thanks to the juice shots. I will probably have to grab another juice shot in the middle of this live because I am still kind of getting sick. I mean, excuse me, I am still kind of getting over being sick. There we go. And my cold sore is almost gone, so it's been really interesting because this time that I've gotten sick, I haven't had like any like really infection symptoms other than like a little bit of congestion, but like no neon green, like any mucus coming out. You know what I mean? Like no chest congestion, no fever. And you know why? I'm pretty sure it's because I've been taking that juice that I showed a couple lives ago and taking these wellness shots. So today we are here to talk about how you can work with your dragon guardians, or just a dragon guardian, any dragon. We want you to be able to basically walk away from this live after you watch it from start to finish, feeling confident enough to start working with dragons if that is your will. Okay, you don't have to work with dragons. That is completely personal path. Like, I'm just here to kind of like show you kind of like the basic rundown of what like is needed, so you can just get on with it and do your own thing. So you don't even need anything. You can just start, and then you can keep exploring your knowledge and applying that and growing along the way, because that's the fun part of the practice. So the indigo magician, magician, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but welcome to the live. Glad to have you here. Howdy crew. We are drinking alive today because my tummy hurts, so we're taking another sip of that. So the reality is if you've stumbled upon my channel, the likelihood of you being somehow interested in dragons in some way, shape, or form, the likelihood is pretty high. I would say it's probably above like 92%. You probably subscribed for dragon something in one way or another. If not, you're really cool if you love the dragon content too. But you've kind of like maybe always had a connection with dragons. Maybe you've just like come into contact with dragons. Maybe the algorithm brought dragons into your life. Maybe you wanted to practice magic and it just led you to working with dragons. Who knows? But here you are, and dragons have piqued your interest, or they are reaching out to you in your dreams and visions, in like your proximity, in your algorithm. They do these things sometimes. I have no mouth and I must scream. Love your name. I think I've said this before, but welcome to the live. Dragon Feather, you keep me up way past my bedtime. Well, you know what? No such thing as bedtime, if you ask me. You know, time is an illusion. So all we have is now. And right now, I'm live. So welcome to the live. Avid Asian, that's a funny name. Welcome to the live. Glad to have you here. Hello, nice to catch your live. So honored to have you here with us, Avid Asian. So honored to have you join the live. We are here to talk about dragons today. So I hope you like dragons, because most of us are obsessed with dragons here. So that is the point. You like dragons. What do you do with that? Especially if you are in a magical practice or a spiritual practice, because that is the perspective we kind of like take here on our channel. Asian like the line of LMAO, I am Dragon Kid. Okay, that's cool. Glad to have you here. I'm very interested in the connection between dragons and fae, and the fact that the fae will often have dragons as spirit guides themselves, in my experience. Interesting, the indigo. I kind of find them like almost two sides of the same coin, like they coexist with each other. Hello, fellow dragons. Hello, fellow dragons. Hello, dragons. We are here to learn about working with other fellow dragons. It's a funny kind of thing, isn't it? But let me stop rambling and get to the point here, okay? You want to work with dragons, how do you start? The first thing you got to do is try everything you can to learn from as many sources as you can, and to honestly understand like your intention of working with dragons. Like, why do you feel drawn to dragons? Like, you have to kind of go through this questioning phase, right? Like, this whole point of working with dragons is a process of understanding and becoming who you are meant to be, and who like your highest potential, like your highest evolutionary potential could be in this lifetime. That is the point of working with dragons. It is transforming yourself into your highest evolutionary potential within your lifetime, as in whatever like journey or fashion that you'd like. So when you want to work with dragons, like really you gotta like first ask yourself and understand why. Like, what is the point of working with dragons? Like have I already had experiences or encounters, like I like to call them dragon encounters? Before we start consciously working with dragons, I like to consider them dragon encounters, because it's a way to differentiate between the conscious like practicing of working with them, like on the draconic path, or practicing something like draconic Wicca, or something like just working with the dragon guardian and like practicing your magic. there's a difference between that and like as a kid you like saw dragons and like your parents called them your imaginary friends and like you just played with them when you were like a kid in the field or when you were swimming or when you were doing whatever, you know. Excuse me, the Alive will make you burp because it has apple cider vinegar, okay? And it's to help balance your gut bacteria, your gut biome, and that's incredibly important, okay? You absolutely want to balance your gut bacteria. It really does matter how well your experience of energy is. Let's not forget that the solar plexus is located with the stomach, so your digestive system plays a huge role in the vitality of your solar plexus energy, or just your will type of energy or life force energy. So that's just a footnote here with the Alive energy drink. It is one of the best and I love it. Just brings me right back to life. It's medicine, so I'm really happy that I was able to get some today. But you have to understand, why are you doing this? Like, why are you on this journey? What's the purpose? Like, is there an end goal? Like, are you just super fascinated and enamored with dragons? Do you love the fantasy aspect of it? Or do you feel like there's a higher calling to it? Do you feel like there's a higher purpose to it? Do you feel like perhaps there's more under the surface that you just don't know yet, but you just don't know how to like access? Like, there's always like this period of like questioning, and there's always this like cycle within your practice of working with dragons, like a re-questioning period where like as you evolve and grow with your practice with dragons and as life treats you the way that life treats you, like you have to kind of go through these cycles of questioning sometimes. And sometimes people like end up choosing to walk away from dragons, you know. And a lot of people who, you know, practice and work with dragons for 10, 15, 20 plus years, will also be familiar with this process of feeling like maybe this isn't for me anymore, or like maybe the dragons don't want to work with me anymore, or maybe I'm not doing this right, or maybe I'm foolish, or maybe this just like I'm ready for a different phase in my craft, you know. But like at the end of the day, like number one, you have to remember that at the end of the day, this questioning process is pivotal for moving very far places into like higher realms within the dragon guardians that, you know, you make connections with. Me feeling like I am a dragon myself instead of being human. Yeah, but it's important to remember that when working with dragons, like on Earth here, like if you're watching my video, you are a human being. Like even if you identify as Dragonkin, like, and you have like duties, like as a human being, duties, it's a good word. You have like responsibilities as a human being to take action and protect what is precious, you know. And that leads me into my next point, you know, when you really do decide, you know, yeah, this is why I want to work with dragons. I want to work with dragons so I can like better myself to help those around me or to like make a difference. You know, I want to, you know, feel like I have the ability to do something different. Like I know that for me, like I was very much moved in the direction of working with dragons because through all of the hardships that I faced when I was very young, I felt very powerless. And dragons, even when I was a very little girl, always made me feel like I would be safe no matter what. You know, like I know that in a lot of like stories, it's depicted that the dragon guarding the princess in the castle is viewed as a bad thing because like she's isolated from society. But like as a kid, for me, that symbolism was like almost comforting because it's like I could be guarded by my dragons in a castle to explore and experience the magic of the world in any way I wanted to. And like humanity, no one could ever like, you know, break down that barrier, if that makes sense. So that's just like kind of like my perspective of that as like a little girl with connecting with dragons. But like now here in the present day, like working with dragon guardians, like I still sometimes have to reaffirm why I do this. Like I'm like, okay, like, but like, am I really gonna do this? Am I really gonna make this like my entire like life purpose is to talk about dragons and to really assert that as far and wide as I can? Like, is that crazy? Am I off my rocker? You can debate in the comment section if you'd like, but I think I'm onto something here. And I think I've never been more like close to working with my guardians, because like I literally follow the guidance that they give me, and people literally will ask me like, what resources do you follow? And I'm like, now the actions I take are literally just from my spirit team telling me what to do. And it's crazy. It's crazy. It's a crazy power move sometimes when I'm just like, no, you can literally deny my reality till you're blue in the face. You could literally dedicate your whole life work to trying to prove that my experience was wrong, but the reality is, at the end of the day, I meditated and a dragon told me to do this, X, Y, and Z, and now I get X, Y, and Z. Magic is real. Like, I started this channel for a reason, you guys. Like, you can watch my first video. I'm like, I want to see if magic is real. Wearing a little Lugia necklace around my neck and like raccoon emo eyes, okay? Like, I was like, I'm gonna see, okay? And I'm gonna share the journey with you. I can confirm. It is real, and so are dragons, okay? This is arguably real. It is a dragon. Therefore, dragons are real. This is why I say don't take me seriously, okay? For entertainment purposes only, but the ones who get it, okay? Hey Azura, you're the reason I started connecting with dragons and my dragon guardian. Much love. Kayla V, you are thebombdiddly.com. Thank you so much for joining the live. It's so awesome to have you here today. I didn't think you're off your rocker. I can hear my guardians. I believe in magic. Yeah, Laura Perry. See, you know, sometimes the haters can just be a little loud sometimes, but like it's always important to remind yourself like where you stand and where you like sit within your own like beliefs. And that's why consistency in your practice also has a very important place, and why when you work with dragon guardians, the next step after you really assess where you're at, what your purpose is, and like why you want to like pursue a path in working with a dragon, even if you don't want to like identify as a draconic witch, you could literally be a Christian and be like, yeah, you know what, maybe working with a dragon would be like something that could really help me in my life, and I want to pursue that. That is totally valid and allowed. Like, dragons aren't like a violation of any sort of like practice like that. Like, you know, I know that from a Christian perspective, dragons are just part of God's creation. You can be friends with God's creation, just don't worship it. Like, how is that any different? You know what I mean? Like, everybody has their own perspective, and that's why it's so important to like really get in tune and in touch with your heart and your mind and your spirit team. Because what when you get really quiet, what do you hear? You know, when you get really quiet, what resonates? When you get really quiet, or when you get really scared, where do you feel your faith? You know, because like that's what really reminds me of what's important in life, is that when I get really scared sometimes, like I have to remember, like, where do I feel my faith? And a lot of the times in the dark, I find my faith placed in dragons, and that's okay. It makes me feel safe. Nothing wrong with that. And my faith and my dragon guardians make them as real to me as, you know, the stuffed animals that I have on the lives with us, as the alive drink I'm about to take a sip of. You know what I mean? Like, your faith has so much power, your perception has so much power, it makes things real. So cheers to that. Whew. The alive drink is very aggressive. If you've ever had it, it's just very medicinal. Hey Jessica Luna, thanks for joining the live. There has been more times than not that I have gotten a side eye or three head look because I was communicating with my spirit guardians at a low point in the day. So you go, girl. If you know, you know. Yeah, dude. Like, I try to, you know, like when I go to spaces that are really overwhelming, like you could say overstimulating in the terms of sound and light and people, like crowds can be really overwhelming for me sometimes, depending on locations and the time of day and like how I feel, you know, like all of these things play into like factor of how like I can get overwhelmed. And I really try to be discreet about how like I connect with my guardians. Like, I'll excuse myself to the bathroom sometimes if I need to, and I'll be like, oh, I just had to be in the bathroom for a little bit longer, but really I was just like, you know, like connecting with source and connecting with like my guardians and my spirit team and my gods and goddesses around me, like I just have to like really hone in on that and just be like, okay, like ground and center and like remind myself who I am, and then like define how I'm gonna show up and how my evening goes. Like I literally will write the narrative before I leave the bathroom because sometimes I have to. And like that is something that I've been taught through my dragon guardians. My dragon guardians told me, like, you are the narrator, you are the witness of your story. Like, what are you doing? You're right. Like, who is writing the words for you? The words, the way you're observing your reality was already written by the people who came before you. Like, you can change it. Like, don't be foolish. You can change it. You know better. Like, you didn't need us to tell you that. You didn't need us to remind you that. Almost like, kind of like, come on, you can do better than this. Like, you know, they're just very like, they're harsh in the sense that they remind you what you're capable of when you need to, and sometimes when you're in a vulnerable state. But like, one of my favorite quotes that I love, like, of all time is from Aang, from the last Avatar, the last Airbender, Avatar, the last Airbender. Wow. But it's a phrase from him in the next season, Legend of Korra. He says, when we're at our lowest point, we're open to the greatest change. And this is usually when our guardians come to us the most, because they also know this, right? Like, dragons are very like, they're masters in arcane and alchemical magic, right? And like very high magic, right? And this change, like changing your life, changing your perspective, changing your emotions, is very high magic, right? But it's not taught to us like that, because like it's like people have like consumed this narrative of emotions almost being as like undesirable unless it can benefit you in some way, and not like, you know, corrupt someone's view of you or like make someone uncomfortable. Like, you don't want to do that in today's society. But like, when you look at it from an arcane perspective, when you look at it from an alchemical perspective, like, they are, like I said in previous lives, gifts of energy. They are like opportunities of like they're opportunities of change, especially if they're very low energy, right? When you hit your lowest points, you're open to your greatest change. And this is why you need to take those low points as opportunities. And when you can do that and shift yourself, you already have draconic energy. That is draconic energy. That is the arcane alchemical art of transmutation. You know what I mean? Like, this is what they are masters of, right? And one of the like high, very most definitive, permanent ways of doing that is destruction, you know, but it can also be a very easy way out. You know, destroying things can be a very easy way to get the change that you want, but it can be very hard to take the ugly stuff and choose to shift into a higher perspective, to evolve past it and not succumb to it, because again, you can be open to your greatest change. It's not a one-way ticket for free. It just opens the door for you. You have to do the work. So that brings me to my next point. If you're gonna work with dragons, and when you decide to work with dragons, are you ready to walk through that door? You know, these can be the reasons that hold you back. You know what I mean? These were the reasons that held me back in my practice anyway. You know, like, for a long time, I wasn't ready to walk through that door. And the only reason why I wasn't ready to walk through that door is because I didn't know how to handle my fear. Because I had never experienced fear like that before. But I also was being presented with my first challenge in working with the dragons. They also have this huge barrier of fear to working with them, because it will weed out the people who are serious and who are not. If you are serious of working with the dragons, you'll be able to walk up to that fear, you'll be able to take that fear and transmute that fear into courage and keep going through it, no matter what unknown you feel, no matter who like might give you side eye for saying that you practice dragons, no matter who might be like, you belong in an insane asylum, go get psychiatric help. Or like, for those who might criticize you saying like, you need Jesus, like, you can also, side note, believe in Jesus and dragons at the same time, first of all. And second of all, anyone can choose their path. And number 3 is, just because somebody believes in dragons doesn't mean that they're automatically a crazy person, doesn't automatically mean that they should be looked down upon or they should be looked at as mentally ill. That is offensive to both the mentally ill and to the people who practice working with dragons. Like, it's just a different type of spirituality, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just deserves respect, and people deserve the space to do so safely. That's it. No big deal. Like, don't know why it's such a big deal these days, but we're just here to normalize it because dragons are pretty cool, and I think everybody could benefit for some. And so, yeah. Let's see. I'm absolutely a dragon, but a cute one, Mel. Absolutely. Thanks for joining the live. Let's see. It seems like there's some weird stuff in the comments, so that's usually what happens when we're talking about the right stuff. Let's see. I'm going to have to dip. Many blessings, Azura. Oh, so awesome to have you here on the live. It was wonderful seeing you here. Evolve past the ugly stuff instead of succumb to it. Yes, Megan Kerman, yes. And this has been the hardest thing that I have had such a rude awakening with, is like, look, we need to understand that, like, if we have the ability to be comfortable and safe and like turn off our phones and TVs and not like really pay attention to anything but our own needs and our own worlds and our own realities, like we have the privilege to be in our own bubble, if you will, like that is one of the most sacred gifts to working with dragons. Like, if you have that ability to be safe in the comfort of your own home and choose to walk the path of the dragon and literally take their advice to protect what is precious and follow what you need to do to keep people and the planet and creatures and the land and earth and like water, air, like all of it, like safe, like anything you can do to like take a step in protecting like what matters in this world, especially within you. Like, where can you start protecting what's precious within you, even if that means you don't share your craft to anyone, even if that means like you just watch content that you like in your free time and you don't talk about it because to you that's what you need to do to protect what's precious, the magic within you, then that's where it starts. Because for a long time, that's where it had to start with me. You know, like I had to be like, you know what, I have to maybe not talk about this anymore because like it might not be safe for me. Like, and that's okay. Like, one day it will be safe and that will be a very blessed day. And when I'm able to come back and it's safe again, I will never ever be louder. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes you are what's precious and what needs to be protected. So then you have to decide to reach out, you know, if you're willing and you understand like your purpose and the reason why you want to work out, and you're in a position of wanting to like make a difference and stand up to that fear barrier that the fear of the unknown, you know, the fear of the shadow, the fear of your own bullshit. Like you have to take that next step, which is literally dealing with your own shit. Where can you learn to regulate yourself? Where are you having the attention on what other people are doing and not pointing the finger at yourself saying, no, this needs improvement, no, that needs improvement, no, I need to be able to hold my tongue, I need to be able to take action sometimes, I need to be able to speak up sometimes, I need to be able to know when is the difference, like I need to mess up sometimes to learn that path, and I need to not be afraid anymore. I don't have the luxury of being afraid anymore, because that is what you have to sacrifice when you work with the dragons, and that is what will bring them the fastest to you. You want to work with dragons today? Do everything you're afraid of right now. If you resonate with every other step that I've mentioned previously, if you're just joining the live now, please rewatch this video like over again so you can get the whole like POV lesson, because it's so incredibly important to go through these steps and understand, you know, where you're at first, so you can approach and and like know who you are when you approach that. Because like it's not anything more than that. It's not anything more than a journey of knowing who you are and doing what is right and what is righteous. And like what is righteous is not forcing people to be a certain way. What is righteous is protecting their freedom to do so, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. Like, The people who are hurting other people need to be stopped, like instantly. The people who are hurting the world, the planet, the balance need to be stopped instantly, because it is detrimental to everybody's freedom of choice. And that is like literally what the whole point of like the dragon guardians want you to understand. They want you to be able to pursue the path of evolution. They want you to be able to have that choice. They want you to be able to experience yourself as a human being. It's incredible experience. You can do it with or without the dragons. You can do it with your own lens or whatever, but they just want you, if you work with them, to know that you have a responsibility to uphold that. Like you're like joining their like basically army. You're like, hey, I gotta listen to this, because like they are your elders in a way, and they will become elders in your spirit team too. You know, like you have to listen what they say or they just vanish. Like it's either do or die with them, and there's a reason for that. Like they're not called guardians for like no reason. They're not demonized for no reason. Like they don't give humans glory if you slay them for no reason. Like they matter. Like they represent like gatekeeping things that deserve to be gatekept. They gatekeep power, they gatekeep resources, they gatekeep what is precious. And that's the point of working with dragons, you know? Okay, H, welcome to the live. Some of us believe in God, so relax. So we're just gonna take it easy, my friends. Let's see. There's a lot of weird things going in the chat, guys, so let me just clear that up for a second. We will definitely get some mods soon, so don't worry about that. Jessica Luna, what's your advice on dealing with inner darkness or doing shadow work to know when you've actually progressing and not regressing? Jessica, this is a great question for this topic, because the next thing that they're going to want you to do is start working on your shadow work. If you're not afraid to work with them, okay, they're going to be like, work with your shadow. They're going to be like, now you have to take a look at all the things. Like I said, you're going to point the finger at you. Where can you improve your emotional regulation? Where can you improve your conflict resolution? Where can you improve your action follow through? Where can you improve your, survival skills? Where can you improve your community building? Where can you improve your outreach? Where can you improve your financial skills to help not only yourself, but like your family and like your community, and like by extension, like, the people of the world, that matter. And it doesn't really need to be anything more complicated or convoluted than that. It's really plain, you guys. Like, you have to know thyself. You have to not be afraid of the unknown. You have to not be afraid to heal and improve upon your own stuff first. And then when you get there, by then you'll probably have a dragon that already reached out to you. It's really just a matter of taking those steps in the process. Talk to them, reach out to them, create altars for them, like meditate on their energy, whatever creative way you can make in a way that helps you as a human being connect, and whatever individual experience that is up to you. So you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't have to, like, you don't have to be anxious about being held to this certain standard, because your focus isn't or shouldn't even be on the dragons and their approval of you. Your focus should be on your approval and improvement of yourself, because that is the whole point of working with dragons. Because the more that you focus on that, that's when you're able to help others. That's when you're able to help those around you and your community, and by extension, build a better life for everything. It's just, that's the point of working with dragons. And I know that sometimes it can seem very intimidating, and a lot of people are like, I don't feel worthy. A lot of people have a lot of shame internalized within, and that's part of shadow work. You might have a lot of shame within yourself from just maybe what you've gone through by, bullies or your own family. But perhaps you've been the person who's perpetrated the most shame on yourself, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. The only solution to that is a lot of internal, reflection and forgiveness and grace. I feel like the only forgiveness that's necessary is self-forgiveness, you know, like you don't have to forgive anyone else but yourself sometimes, even if that's just the part that you played. And one second. For me, like, I wasn't able to move on until I forgave myself for the part that I played in cultivating my toughest experiences and my like biggest heartbreaks and stuff too, because like I was just trying to do the best that I could with what I had at the time, and like I didn't necessarily do it right, and so I lost track and I felt like I wasn't worthy to work with dragons, and for years I just stopped, you know. But like I had to make that decision again, you know. I was like, no, I want to do this, I want to work with dragons, I have to do this again. Like this is, I will feel hollow if I don't work with dragons and I don't share that experience, no matter what anyone tells me. I knew in my heart and soul that like I don't care what people call me, I don't care, you know, what I get labeled as. Like I believe in dragons, and like if you want to crucify me for that, like go ahead and try, because you can't, like you won't be able to this time, because I'm not the only one who loves dragons and works with dragons like this. Like I'm not the only one. Dragon me dragon, love your name, thanks for joining the live. I love dragons, you are right. You know, like you can work with dragons even in the sense if you don't believe that they exist spiritually, even if you just find strength in their symbolism, even if you just find courage in their movies and their media and in games that have dragons in them like Spyro, or you know, books that have them like Aragon, or shows that have them like, you know, Game of Thrones. Like the dragons are always overpowered, they always make such huge difference in tipping the scales of power, of like righteousness, of protecting what's precious, you know. But they can also be an incredibly destructive force, you know. But sometimes they have to be, and that's kind of the whole point. Like you have to not be afraid to destroy things, and sometimes you have to destroy yourself and everything you think you are and who you're supposed to be before dragons are will like be ready to approach you, because each person, they're gonna deem a different set of like, I guess, like milestones in order for them to be presenting themselves to you. Because like I always say that they're like silent observers. Like likelihood, if you're interested in dragons, it's because they're already around you, they're just waiting and watching to see how you develop in a conscious way, because that will determine if they make themselves seen to you, you know. Like it's, at least that's my experience. I'm sure maybe other people have had different experiences, but if you're interested in like working with dragons in a similar fashion that I did, that was just what worked best for me, was just honestly getting my own shit together and being humble about what needed to be changed and taking the action, even if it was a little bit every day. And sometimes that action was just surviving, and sometimes that action was just making sure I brushed my teeth, and sometimes that action was making sure that I actually built an altar and like went live again, or I like did something to help somebody else, because the best that I was able to do was different every day. And at the end of the day, like just like sit with the fact that like if you admire and love dragons, they're already around you because they feel that energy. Loving dragons is already being like in the vibration of close to them. Like you're not far away from being a dragon if you love them as much as I do, or if you love them as much as you do already. Like it's just something that it just makes common sense, you know. Like common sense, not common, like it makes sense, you guys. Like it's pretty logical if you think about it. Shadowlands Radio, hey, thanks for joining the live. Hey, guppies. It's funny. We are talking about dragons, POV. You started working with dragons today on your daily dose of dragon feather, because I got the sense that a lot of you guys were quite intimidated and afraid to work with dragons, and you felt maybe you weren't worthy, or you had no idea where to start, or perhaps you just weren't sure if you were talking to dragons or not. So this video is pretty much to just like take away all the confusion, to clarify it, and just be like, look, this video is just a very simple path that you can just follow. I know that it's kind of rambly, we're just hanging out here on the Daily Dose of Dragon Feather Live, but it's like kind of like I were just talking to you as like a friend or like a practitioner of the craft for almost 15 years, like I've been practicing. So I know that for me and my experience with dragons, it has taken me 10 plus years to have unwavering confidence in my practice, and it's very much intentional. Like sometimes if you are in a phase of doubting working with dragons, and you have before for a long time, it's very possible that like it's just a test for you to see if you'll come back, because like if something's meant to you, like if you love something, let it go. If it's meant for you, it'll come back to you. If not, it was never yours. Like, and if dragons were meant to be in your life, like, and you're on a path where you're at a point where you're doubting if they're meant to be a part of your world, it's sometimes just part of the process of becoming who you're meant to be when working with dragons. It's part of the process of connecting with them, of building a better relationship with them, because even in our own human relationships, sometimes the biggest conflicts that we have in relationships, and I'm not talking about like abusive ones or like manipulative or like traumatic ones, not talking about that, but just, difficult experiences in life and hardships in relationships, like illness or loss of loved ones, or like even just having children can be a hardship sometimes. People might not want to talk about it, but it's true. It can be very burdensome on a couple. And a lot of them don't make it because it is such a like challenge, But when life presents those things and you're able to overcome those adversities together, you'll find that the relationships are oftentimes stronger than they ever were before. And the same goes for your relationships with your guardians. Sometimes you'll go through the hardest things in your life, and as a result, you'll question the reality of their presence in your life. You'll question, are dragons real? You'll question, does dragon magic exist? Like, if I wasn't able to save my loved one, what's the point? Like, many knights have had these questions. And what I've learned at the end of the day is that like the only thing we're promised in this life is death, and it's harsh, but it's like that's why you have to choose how to live, because that's what's not promised. Is the time you have, is the breaths that you take, is the body you're given, is the way that you're born. You only have like the moments of you being consciously embodied as the time ticks by. Once you are born, that's all you're gifted with until you are promised death. Like, we talk about this a lot on the channel because I walk a left-handed path with dragons. If you are uncomfortable with death, you should not work with dragons. If you are uncomfortable with standing up to ugly things, you should not work with dragons. If you are uncomfortable with questioning authority, you should not work with dragons. Like, if you're uncomfortable with doing what's right, you should not work with dragons. And that's just my experience, because when I have failed to uphold those like ideals, I have found it very hard to reach the dragon guardians. But when I follow those ideals, I find them constantly giving me step-by-step guidance along the way. Being so close to me, I feel them behind me all the time. I hear them, I feel them, because they don't like talk to me. I don't hear voices. Dragons don't like say voices in my ear. If you're hearing voices in your ear from your dragons, maybe that's how they communicate you. I haven't really found that the case with most practitioners. It's very much like a feeling, or they present you with a challenge, like an idea of a way you're supposed to walk your life path, or the challenge in front of you, how you're supposed to handle a challenge. Sometimes I would have issues in my relationships or issues in my career, and I had no idea what to do, so I'd meditate on it, and my guardians would give me almost a challenging way to navigate the situation, and that would be the way. It was almost like a roadmap. They would speak to me in a roadmap. There has to be a better word for that, so if you have a better word for that, leave it in the chat, but it's true. I'm Mermaidkin. Can you do a video or two on working with mermaids and the merfolk? Yeah, of course. I'm definitely focused on dragons for now because we got a lot of work to do with the dragons, but once we get more established with the dragon stuff, I will definitely, expand more on the like other mythical creatures that I work with, because I do work with other mythical creatures than the dragon. Some of those are the mermaid, the fairy, the phoenix, and the griffin. But we also work with the unicorn too, and like alicorn. But for now, dragons. So once we get all caught up with that, it's fine. But that's pretty much like what I have to say for the dragon stuff. If you wanted to work with dragons, like, you don't need to be afraid. Like, you got this. Like, if you have questions, leave them in the chat or in the comment section below after, if you're like watching this not when it's live, and it's gonna be okay. Like, I promise you, like, you are already closer than you think if you have the curiosity or the inclination to work with them spiritually. Like, I feel like that is the biggest requirement to work with them. You have to have the desire to want to like do whatever it takes. You know, do you even have to do whatever it takes to like make them like, you know, to like almost like appease them to work with you? Because sometimes that's what it takes. You have to kind of like appease them in a way. I think of those as my light bulb moments. My guardians communicate more with ideas, feelings, and the like, that somehow the meaning comes to me like breathing. Yeah, see, it's like a very convoluted, like, medium. It seems very, like, mysterious sometimes the way that they communicate, but, like, the message is always absolutely glaringly, obviously clear. Like, it's undeniable, unavoidable, unequivocal there when they want you to know it. This may go far afield, but maybe distinguish between dragon magic and the entities you are talking about. Like, I am not talking about any of that. I'm only talking about dragons in this video. The Indigo Magician. Just so you know. Only talking about working with dragons in this video, so just to clarify that for everybody who's watching. Happy sheepies. I dream of centaurs. Should be working with them. Should I be working with them? Yeah, they're great. They're a great mythical creature to work with, but I have no knowledge about working with them in this video. We're just working with dragons in this video. I'm currently on a transformation journey, wondering what else and need to work on during it to bring big abundance at the end. Dragons. So this is exactly why you're probably tapped into this live, because your intuition is really on point with what you're trying to do spiritually, especially when it comes to transformation and a transformational journey towards abundance. I'm going to always recommend working with dragons because they are very abundant energy. They are very auspicious and lucky energy. When you have dragons on your side, you will be favored by the gods, as they say. You will be favored by destiny itself. Dragons will also offer you fortune's favor, which means like luck of the lottery, or like luck of just like opportunity, luck of like jobs, and just like, you know, happenstance things that could just like one-off chance happen that end up making you very, you know, abundant and like wealthy, if you will. So yeah, definitely dragons are the one to work with. That's what I really recommend with people who, like my clients, who are like, oh, like, I struggle financially. Like, you know, sometimes I have a lot of financial fears. I really don't know how to, like, you know, make more money, because with the work that I do in the music industry, sometimes you just have to, like, it has like a cost, you know, like you have to have that upfront cost, that buying power, in order to like make things move in the industry. And I'm sorry, but that's like any business. Like, I don't really know why that's surprising in the music industry sometimes. It sucks and it's unfair, but like, it's just the truth. And so sometimes like the barrier can be financial, but at the end of the day, like, if you have a phone and an internet connection, like, you have an opportunity to have like abundance of like fortune. Like, you can make money online. Never easier. It's like never been easier. There's so many opportunities and so many ways to monetize yourself. But like, at the end of the day, like, what I always tell my clients is, I'm like, get a golden dragon, specifically an Asian dragon that's on like Asian like gold coins, and put it in your house. Look up the feng shui of your house and put it in your house, and that will bring you just the craziest magical like things that happened around money and luck and just fortune. Like, trust me, you want to have dragon energy in your life more so than just protecting what's precious. Yeah, that's just the threshold to get in. But if you are honorable and you are righteous and you're like your pursuit and working with them, and you are truthful and down to earth, and you are willing to be humble, you know, and honest with yourself, and change when you need to, and transform and transmute what needs to be done, like, you can be rewarded with such luck and like power and abundance that you've never ever thought possible or capable of dreaming of in your entire life. But that should never be the reason why you work with dragons. And that's why the ones who are greedy often don't work with dragons. But sometimes they do, because again, like, dragons can be corrupted too. Like, they're very much their own individuals. But like, the dragons that I work with are not those dragons. The dragons that I work with are like my guardians that have taught me the lessons that I relay in my content here, you know, like, just my content is pretty much turning into just like messages and wisdom and guidance from the dragon realms, you know, and the mythical realms by extension, you know, but mostly dragons, because they tell me how to move the most in this world. So yeah, do you have any cultures, types of dragons to start my research with? Pray. Thanks for joining the live. That's a good question. I think you should start with whatever, first of all, you're called to, like, in like what your intuition is feeling called to, and second, through maybe whatever cultural heritage you have, if you know your cultural heritage. I know that it can be a privilege to know your cultural heritage, so that's why I recommend going with your intuition first. But there are some dragons like that are kind of part of closed practices, so just do your research, and like, sometimes the best start is to just work on improving yourself and see what dragons come to you, because that's kind of like the only thing that I've done in my practice, is like purposefully tried to work on myself, and I have attracted dragon guardians and dragon guides and just other dragons that I work with that way, if that makes sense. Let's see. Had a dream and started out in my room, found a white kitten and a gray bunny. Then the scenery shifted to Jabba the Hutt's palace. That's crazy. Yeah, you know, dreams can be really crazy, but that's probably one of the best ways that you can tell if a dragon for sure is like, you know, reaching out to you. Because at the end of the day, to know and be reassured that you're working with dragons for sure is to notice that they're reaching out to you too. And the best way to know right now that that's already happening is, do you have dreams with them in it? Do you have draconic symbolism in your dreams already? You know, like, if that is already present, that is a huge sign that they're already trying to contact you in a way that you'll notice. Because most people just kind of like really don't dream, first of all, and then when you do, they're kind of like, oh. Especially if you have a dream with a dragon, that's usually very uncommon to dream about, so like, you're probably gonna remember that. At least hopefully you would. But so that's what I like tell people that was like, who ask me about dragons, and just my experience too, you know, like, I feel like when my dragons almost like desperately need me to like connect with them, that's when they show up in my dreams, or when they have like urgent messages for me, or like urgent actions that I need to take, they show me in my dreams. But I'll definitely talk about that more in a different video. How can I connect more with solar lunar energy during practices and rituals? I mean, Lexi Camacho, thanks for the question. It just really depends, you know, like, I find that working with sunstone and moonstone as crystals has really helped me, but you can also just maybe do your ritual during the day under the sun to connect with the sun, and do it under the moon during full moon to connect with the moon. That's at least what I've done, and it has helped me a lot in my practice. Hey Adam, thanks for joining the live. What can dragons help you with? The thing is like, when you're working with dragons, you really shouldn't be focused on what they can help you with. And this is one of the biggest reasons why people kind of don't really connect with dragons in the best way that they should, is because they're not motivated in the right way. They're like, what can I get out of them? How can they improve my life? It's very self-centered. I'm not saying that your question was like that. I'm not implying that you're like that at all. I'm just saying that, like, if you just are interested in dragons and working with them in general, which is like kind of the topic of this video, it's just to really focus on what do you feel like you're doing working with dragons? Why do you feel called to work with them? What would you want the end goal to be with working with dragons? And how do you get there? Like, how do you improve upon yourself? How do you improve upon, your own regulation skills, your own like social skills? How do you improve upon, your community building? And how do you improve upon like, your ways to be able to cultivate resources to provide for your not only your family but like your community and by extension the world, the people who need us the most, because we're here to be in service of the planet and of the people and of the creatures that walk this plane, because that's why the dragons are here. They're here to protect what is precious, and Mother Earth is precious. Her people are precious. Her land is precious. Her waters are precious. Her air and her animals are precious. Like, we have to protect that. Are you also a dragon? Yeah, Adam. I do believe I'm a dragon, but like in a spiritual sense. Like, I have the spirit of a dragon hatchling incarnated to a human body. Some people think it's kooky, but most of the people here resonate and are the same and just like me. So we kind of do that whole journey together, so it's not lonely, because it can be lonely sometimes. How would you interpret my dream from last night? Oh, I don't know. I'm not really good at dream interpretation of other people. This has never been one of my skills, unfortunately, but I am pretty good at working with dragons, so that's why I talk about that. I hope that makes sense, but all I can say is meditate on it and maybe look up the symbolism of different like things you really vividly remember in your dreams and try and piece it together, because my best advice is that like best with your dreams, and like your dreams is a way of your subconscious mind trying to communicate with your conscious mind, and sometimes your spirit team trying to communicate to both your subconscious and conscious mind. So I hope that helps. I'm also going to take another sip of this alive drink. It's so good. It's really helping me feel better. So 1 second. Cheers, fam. This has been a pretty chill live. I'm so glad, because I don't know. I was really hoping. I was kind of like, I guess, intimidated to make this video before I jumped on live, but like I'm super happy that I did, because like it actually ended up being one of the most relaxed, like easy to explain ones that I've like done here. And it's just because like it shouldn't be intimidating, like it shouldn't be scary or complicated to work with dragons. It should be very straightforward and very plainly stated and very direct. Like, it's just very direct. Like, do you know who you are? Do you know why you want to work with dragons? Are you afraid to work with dragons? Are you afraid of the unknown? Can you pass that barrier? Do you have the courage? If you do, are you willing to face all of the shadows within yourself? Can you go within and transform yourself? Where you make excuses and where you hurt other people and where you fail yourself the most. How can you improve upon yourself? And by then you'll probably attract a dragon, so they'll give you the right guidance to where you can help your community, where you can protect what is precious, where you can do even the littlest of things to like help those who need you, like even if it's your family, sometimes it's your family who needs you. Like, how can you be a more involved person in your community? That's what we need right now. How can you protect the land? How can you protect the animals? That's what we need right now. So, cheers with the dragon. Let's see. It's the one I just described with ending in Jabba's palace. Oh, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think it's just perhaps like something that you should meditate on, because I wouldn't know. May 4th, Star Wars Day was yesterday, so maybe that contributed to part of your dream. Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. That's a good point, Prey. I have been bringing on Star Wars. I've been binging Star Wars on Disney Plus. Yeah, I don't use Disney Plus anymore because we don't support companies that support G-side. But what I do love is Star Wars, and I grew up watching the movies, and I saw them in the, the theaters, and I always loved the message of the rebels standing up to the oppressive systems that were over like the solar systems and over the planetary systems, to take it back their freedom, like you have to take back your freedom, you know, especially if people are trying to take it away from you. You have to take it back, and that's a huge part of working with dragons. You have to fight for freedom. Like, dragons, if anything, are the symbol of freedom and power and wealth, abundance. Like, they are like truly royalty embodied. Like, they're the elemental energies embodied. They're like almost like the ultimate form. Sometimes people see them this way, in cultures all across the world, you know. Like, in some cultures they literally have like a dragon god as like the main thing that they work with. And while I will never speak on certain cultures that I don't know about, what I do know is that dragons are everywhere if you look close enough. And that has been the number one driving factor in my curiosity of working with dragons and in learning more, is that no matter where I look in the cultures of human history that we still can find like knowledge on, they have some sort of dragon, serpent like tale that all ties back into mythology of draconic energy and draconic entities and draconic, you know, beings that are ruling forces of power. Sometimes they're seen as villains, sometimes they're seen as like demonic, sometimes they're seen as dark and chaotic, you know, like Tiamat, or, you know, things to be slain like Fafnir. But like at the end of the day, like, dragons are present, and they're present as the most powerful rivals, or the powers of the symbolism of power themselves. You know what I mean? Hey R, thanks for joining the live. I hope you like dragons. I love this so much. Sounds like you do. So awesome to have you here. Please hit the like on the live if you have not already. It really helps the algorithm, and it also helps more dragon lovers join us, because I'm sure you'd like that. We have been here for quite a while, so we will be heading out soon so I can get ready for bed and connect with my dragon guardians to see if I did a good job on this live or not, or if they need to scold me some more. But I just wanted to say thanks for leaving likes on the videos and hanging out, because I could just be talking to a box by myself. So I wanted to say thank you to everybody who's watching the video today, even though I'm not leaving just yet. My friend Noah sent me here. Oh, that's awesome. R, cool to have you. It's an honor to have you here. Tell Noah I said thank you. But yeah, so that was kind of like my bottom line for the day, is that I don't want you to feel like it's overwhelming to work with dragons. Like, it's actually very simple. I don't want to say that it's easy, because the barriers to work with them can be very daunting and overwhelming and intimidating to overcome. But like, if you just take a deep breath and you just have the mentality of just one step at a time and just keep going, and just like, no matter how dark it gets, just to keep transmuting it into light, into hope, into love, into, you know, power, into something that you can use to help heal other, into healing, you know what I mean? Like, you are capable. And that's the point of working with dragons. They want to remind you of how much you're capable as a human being in this vessel. Like, you have no idea the power you have as a human being. You know, we are electrical, energetic beings of light, and they are here to help you walk that path to discover how much you are truly able to do in this lifetime. And they want you to evolve. They want to see you evolve. It fascinates dragons to see humans evolve from mindless, selfish creatures into true gods and goddesses that care for their people, that shift the energy almost as well, if not better, them sometimes than they can. Like, they just love to watch it happen sometimes, you know? Like, it's very rare that humans best dragons, but on the rare 0.0000000% 1% chance that it happens, like, you know, they're just like, wow, you're creative. And they're fascinated, you know, and that's why we work with them. This is why we connect with draconic energy, because dragons inspire us. They enable us to have courage. They uplift us into feeling strong enough to show up in ways that sometimes would be impossible, right? But like, at the end of the day, like, you have to make that decision if you're able to show up that way. So I hope that makes sense. Hey Theron Pause, thanks for joining the live. We are doing a live stream on working with dragons. So if you are interested in working with dragons in like your spiritual practice, that is kind of what we are up to today. So yeah, you know, that's pretty much the foundation of my practice, and it's been like my kind of like my guiding light, and even in adulthood, you know what I mean, working with dragons. Because when I have felt off my path, or like I doubt them, or like even felt abandoned by my dragon guardians, I had to remember these steps, because sometimes it was very intentional that they felt very far away. Sometimes it's a test. Sometimes working with dragons, they will feel far away because they're actually watching you very closely in a manner to see how you'll move on your own. Are you going to pass the test? If that makes sense. To me, the kitten is transformation. The bunny is abundance. See, that's awesome. I wouldn't know that, but see, your intuition does. And that's why I recommend people get in touch with their intuition when they're working with their dreamscape, because that's the best way to connect with, especially dragons in the dreamscape. It's like an intuition test, if that makes sense. You know, when dragons give you dreams, it's almost like a riddle or a code for you to crack, and if you can make a meaning of it and make the right meaning of it and follow it, that's what they want to see, you know? So the last tidbit, the last little bonus that I'll leave you guys for working with dragons, to end this and to start like right now, is to call your representatives and demand a ceasefire for the G-side in Palestine, in the Congo, in Sudan, in Haiti, and everywhere, okay? Because the dragons want you to make this planet a peaceful place. And if you didn't know, all of these practices of oppression have a literal, like, green cost, if you will. You know, the environment is hurting. It's so much CO2 pollution, like we don't have much time. We just have to, okay? So please use 5Calls, the app. It's what I use. We'll leave a link down below. Please, I'm so serious. Like, dragons want you to help the world, and that's what they have told me I need to do now. They're telling me you need to stand up for what matters, and what matters is keeping people safe and allowing people to have clean land, clean water, clean air, access to any practice, knowledge, you know, of how to heal themselves, how to grow and evolve, because that's why we come to this planet, is to all have fun, to all eat fruit, and to all frolic together. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, please leave your comments down below. I would love to hear them. And I just want to take 1 minute today to say thank you so much for spending some of your day with me today. It really means the world, because I could just be talking to myself. Like I said, I could just be talking to a little electronic box, but because you guys are here on the other end, leaving comments and likes and sharing and engaging, we're creating a community together, and we're discovering dragons together. And I just think that is the most magical thing. It's the coolest thing I've ever done in my life, and it's all because you guys gave me the opportunity. So much gratitude and love to you guys. From me to you, if you are the hatchling, you are the bomb.com. Really quick question. If someone works with more diverse spirits other than dragons, would you say it's a conflict of interest per se, or just having more abundant resource or support system? I work with a bunch of different things other than dragons. I just say when you work with dragons, just focus on them when you work with them. Don't mix them at all unless the dragons are telling you to do so. Even if other guardians are telling you, like other parts of your practice are telling you to do so, just work with the dragons first if it's new to you, and focus on that, because it doesn't need to be like more complicated than that, you know? Like, as you grow with your faith and your connection with dragons, focused on dragons, and as you grow in your connection and your faith focused on like either your religion or your god or your goddesses or like whatever practice you have, then the more like practice you have with that, then you can start, you know, mixing the two if that's what your path is meant to be. But that's just been the path that I've followed in working with dragons and goddesses and other spirits and ancestors and gods and all of that, you know, along the way. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys are having a geeky, cheeky, and freaky day, little hatchlings. But until next time, stay geeky, cheeky, and freaky again. Blessed be, and bye.